Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling page. Today we're going to be playing around with stamping into your journal and creating lots of different backgrounds. So I'm starting off my craft journal. I'm just popping in some collage in the background. So this is just collage tissue with some writing in the background. I just really like having text of some shape in the background because I love text, whether it's vintage papers or stamped text or stuff like this. I just find it, the sort of the black and the white breaks up the page a little bit for me. It means I'm not working on a blank page. I've got something in the background that's a bit interesting. Doesn't matter if I cover it all up because you can't read it anyway. It's just sort of there. So for those of you who struggle with sort of the white page syndrome, maybe just try putting some collage in the background just to help you out. I'm then going over with some paint. I started off with a turquoise in the background and let that dry first, and then I'm going over with this lime green. Now, the reason I let the turquoise dry is so I could do this technique, which is kind of like the ghosting technique. So put a stencil down and rub away the extra paint. So where you rub it away is where the paint from below peeps through. So it's really important when you're doing this that you have dry layers underneath so that the other paint won't remove. So again, going in with a contrasting colour here. This is a darker peacocky blue, using a different stencil this time to do the same sort of thing. So again, you can sort of see that turquoise and the green now popping through, but I've still got some of that turquoisey colour on. So it's a really great way to sort of get this funky background. To add to the text, I'm also going in and doing a little bit of stamping into those blanker areas, so I've got some interest going on. So this is using a large Dina Wakley face stamp. I'm stamping straight into my journal. Now, I don't mind that it's not perfect because I'm actually just using this as a bit of a base so I can draw over the top. So with my black paint pen, I'm just fixing up the pupils, and then I'll start adding some paint colours to it. I did use archival ink for this, so it's not going to shift when I use my paint over the top. Really, really important. If I'd tried to do that with, say, a distress ink, I would be having paint or ink moving everywhere and colouring the paint and so on. So if you are doing this, it's really important that you use a permanent ink to do it. Now I'm just going in with some skin tones. I'm starting off with an apricot colour and then going in with this blushing colour. And I'm just popping on the darker colours where the shadows would be, roughly-ish. So sort of around the nose, around the side of the face, under the neck, using my fingers to blend colours together and so on. This, use where the shadows are on the stamped image. You will notice where it was much darker. So that's obviously where I'm going to put the darker colour paint. Even though it looks like I'm really slapping on the paint quite heavily here, it is actually quite light, which means that I am able to see the shape underneath and see the colours from underneath, which is really handy. Now I decided I was going to stamp over the top. I was actually going to stamp directly on the image, but I actually chose to do this. So I'm stamping onto some tissue paper and gluing it over the top. Might look a bit backwards, but the colour, because it will go translucent, you will actually see that colour come through from the background, so you can sort of see it there. So you get this really crisp stamped image over the top of your painting. So it doesn't matter if your painting doesn't quite match underneath, because now I've got that stamping over the top. And you can sort of see where it was. Now, I wasn't 100% happy with how that worked, so I decided to just go straight in and stamp over the top. You can see you've got a very similar effect. So whatever you feel more comfortable doing, it's two ways to do it. Once I've finished with my stamping, then I wanted to add in a little bit of extra detail. So I'm just going in and fixing up around the eyes. I'll do a little bit of painting down the bottom as well. I am also going in with my Stabilo oil pencil and adding in some hair. So one of the things with a lot of the Dina Wakley faces is she quite often will not put hair on her images because she doesn't like drawing it. which is fine. I hate drawing it too, but I often feel like I need to put it in. So quite often my figures end up with these sort of helmet heads of hair put on. But then I go in and add a few extra layers because I'm never happy with just one. So with my base paint, and then I'm going in with some layers of colour around it. Same with my image as well. I'm just going in with some of these Stabilo woodies to add a little bit of extra depth and shading to the face. And this will make all the difference to your finished piece. It doesn't need to be these sort of any pencils or distress crayons or anything that you've got that you can sort of blend together will work really, really well. And it just helps to boost the colour, boost the texture of the page. You've got the colours and the shading there to help underneath anyway, so anything that you do is just a little bit of additional stuff. You can see I'm drawing over the lines that are already on the page. I'm not adding in anything different or out of whack, it's just what's on the page already. I often find putting that little bit of Stabilo over the top of the stamped image, even if it's stamped really, really clearly, really helps, because any printed image, the black's not always going to be a true black colour. So if you can add something to it to help boost that colour, will really frame your image. One of the things I have been playing with though is putting little sparkly bits around faces and hair just to help frame up the faces. So I did do it, but I did my quote first. I couldn't remember which way I did it. So I'm writing in my quote. So only three things matters: how much you love, how gentle you live, and how grateful you are. And I'm writing with my paint pen, so I can do what I've just done. If I make a mistake, I can wipe it away. Because everything I'm working on is acrylic paint and permanent ink, it means that everything dry underneath is permanent. It means if I make a mistake with wet paint, I can just wipe it away. I personally find that really, really handy. Each to your own. But I'm not much for measuring things out and planning things. So the fact I can rub it out and redo it and not have any marks on my page really works for me. Just going in with my black paint pen to do some shadowing around my letters, again just to help push them out of the page, particularly down this bottom bit where I have got a bit of black stamping in the background. It just helps frame the white and push it to the foreground. So once I've done that, then I'm going to go on to my little sparkly bits around her face. Because she is looking like she did have a bit of a helmet head, I just wanted to do something to sort of add a little bit of magic to her and a little bit of, I don't know, take it away from her face a bit. So just using my paint pen, a really thick one, a thin one. I've done some big dots, some little dots, just to make it look sort of magical on her face. I'm also with my white pen just putting in a little bit of highlight on her lips and along her nose and through her hair as well, just to give a little bit of contrast to the final page. So that's the final page. Lots and lots of fun, fairly easy to put together, but and lots of different alternatives of ways you can do it. So you can do the background, you can either stamp directly onto the page or you can stamp onto tissue paper, whatever works for you. So I hope you have a go and have lots of fun doing it. Until next time, bye for now.